Welcome to Finding Your Authentic Voice. My name is Skye Marcano. I'm a clothing designer. I'm a motivational social media strategy queen, and I'm also a Huffington Post blogger. And I talk a lot about motivational social media and how to start making money while you sleep. I love sharing information with you all. You can find me on Periscope. My handle is Skye_Marcano. You can also find out more about me on skyemarcano.com. Or you could maybe even find me on Facebook. I have a private The Sky's the Limit Facebook group that you can join for free if you'd like. I'm really happy that you're here today. I've decided to dedicate this episode to basically letting you know a little bit more about me going forward. I'm going to tell you a little story about my life and how I found my authentic voice. It's definitely a process and can take many years in my case. I'm also going to go over a few fun exercises to do before the new year. So that'll be fun, and that'll be towards the end of the episode. So I am going to start out by talking about the early days and some things that I went through as a young girl. So I was about 15, 16, and I had a very on-again, off-again relationship. But in my mind, I was madly in love. And, you know, the love of my life or whatever, and young love. And we were on again, off again. And what ended up happening, we had been together for a few years. He was older than me. He was a few years older. I ended up getting pregnant. And for whatever reason, my intuition told me to have the baby. And I'm not sure what was driving me to do this, but that was my final decision. I was going to have this baby and keep the baby and raise the baby. So I ended up giving birth at 17, but shortly after giving birth, I ended up being a single mother, unexpectedly and I was totally surprised. Shocked, really. Totally young spirit, kind of a naive spirit at the time. And I really didn't know what to do. I'm actually speechless just thinking back to it. It was completely shocking. I had wonderful parents, very supportive. They stuck by me. Amazing friends at the time, too. So that was extremely helpful. I lived in a small town, but I have to say I was more or less devastated by the situation and the fact that I had, quote unquote, lost the love of my life and the father of my child, and that I wouldn't have help. I wasn't going to have help raising this baby that I decided to keep. Besides, of course, my parents and my friends. So that was hard for me because I was raised by parents who are still married to this day, and I just didn't think that anyone was capable of leaving their child. But that's what happened. The father left, and I was left to my own devices. So I was pretty much terrified. But what ended up happening is I did a lot of inner reflection, and I really had to be, I was faced with myself and my baby and the responsibility and dealing with all of the things that come with that responsibility. So, I had to work, and I was a busy mom, of course, but there were times where I was very lonely and I didn't have much to do on the weekends. It wasn't like I was socializing and going to parties because I had this responsibility, right? So I ended up really thinking about, what makes me happy? What is that joy? And the first thing that came to mind was designing clothing. That is something that was pure joy for me. And when I was about 8 years old, I decided I'm going to be a fashion designer when I grow up. So when I went through that really tough time at 17, I decided to, get my artwork out, do a ton of drawing and creating, and I wrote mini business plans and so many really cool things I did at the time. And I believed that one day I was going to be a successful fashion designer. I truly, truly believed it. And I actually convinced myself. And I think part of it, yes, I needed to escape a little bit from my own reality, just because it was such a harsh sort of awakening. So I created this whole idea that I would be a successful clothing designer, and I designed my little heart out. I painted and I was sketching and did amazing things all day long. Listened to music and really sort of got in touch with the, that thing inside of me that needed to be put out into the world. Now, flash forward 4 years later, I ended up falling in love with this beautiful human being, and getting married. And he started to help me raise my daughter, who was 4 years old at the time. And we ended up having a son a few years later after we met and got married and all that stuff. And I was obviously a busy mother, just had a second child. I was a good mom, a still kind of sweet, innocent person. And, but I always had that fire inside me, and I was, definitely had a strong personality. And so I found myself, I was about 25 years old, 2 kids, a 10-month-old and a 7-month-old. And again, I thought, I don't want to give up on my dreams. I really, 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 really do not want to give up on my dreams. So how am I going to do this? Things went through my brain, like I really can't give up on my dreams. I need to pursue those things that I want to put out into the world. How am I going to do this? And so it came back to clothing design and being a fashion designer again. And I did a ton of research online. I bought a book on fashion design and marketing. And I started to sort of manifest this idea that I would start a clothing company. And I had my husband's full support. We didn't have a lot of money. We were raising 2 little kids, and we found a way to, we had credit cards, and to be totally honest, we just found ways to invest in fabric and getting the patterns made. And I remember just being so like, wow, why did I wait until 25 years old and 2 children to begin my dream? Why? That was so silly. I should have started. The tops were exactly how I wanted them. And I had a really wonderful store in town interested in purchasing the tops via wholesale. And we just started, going door to door and knocking on stores and saying, hey, do you like my designs? And we got a lot of people saying, yes, I love these designs. I love these designs. And it was like, whoa, this is crazy. And I started getting wholesales. And I started having all these people really interested in my products. And within a year, I opened up my own little shop, and my husband helped me renovate the whole thing. And we painted it sky blue, and we had some woodwork stuff around, and it was kind of a beach apparel, lounge apparel, yoga apparel, all mixed together with our own screen printing and hoodies and little skirts. And things you could wear to the beach, and yoga and whatever. So it was awesome. And we had people starting to come into the store, and we started getting regular customers. And at the same time, I was researching wholesale and what I could do with the wholesale part of the business. So we packed up. I remember after about a year, I was like, well, I felt so responsible for the little shop that we had put together, and I really wanted to go big. So I did a little experiment and packed the kids up in the van, and we decided to travel to the next province over and show the clothing line. And it was kind of amazing. I think I went and collected, I don't know, $17,000 in wholesale orders, something like that. And it was kind of amazing. And I think at that time I still had the shop open, or I had people coming in interested in investing in this company, this new baby company. So I ended up with 2 investors asking to basically join me in growing the company, the clothing brand. And it was kind of exciting. It was really cool. And I ended up going with a partner and bringing on an investor. And we ended up growing the company to, I think we had 2 or 3 retail stores, over 200 wholesale clients, and regular appearances on the Canadian Shopping Channel. So things grew really quickly. We expanded really quickly. And after about 6 years of working our asses off and building and building and building, lots of staff members, stores, and wholesale clients, the partnership started to crumble and fall apart. And I'm not going to get into too much detail, but it was pretty devastating. Again, another time in my life where I was a bit heartbroken, felt like I had lost everything, ended up leaving my role as a designer. And the friendship, partnership, business partnership was breaking apart. And that was the reality of the situation. So I basically started my second clothing company from scratch without a lot of resources, because I pretty much left without any cash, to be frank. And it was a sad, sad time. I think it was probably harder for me to adjust to that, that kind of feeling of being humbled. It was probably harder, if not the same kind of issue as when I was a single mother. So it's weird because they're two totally different things, but those feelings of being humbled were very similar. But this one was a little bit more devastating, let's just say. I don't even know what the word would be, but it was hard. It was really, really hard. So I started the second company, and I didn't even feel like doing it, but I didn't want to give up in front of my children. So I was determined to start the second company. And I started that, but because we were in wholesale and retail, and because I felt like I lost so much time with my young children by building the first company, I made a mental decision. I was like, you know what? I'm going to figure out how to do selling and marketing online. I'm going to figure out a way that I can sell directly to my customers online. And so I started building up that community, and I chose Facebook because Facebook was really hot at the time. And I thought, wow, I am going to do this with Facebook. I want to build this community. This is going to be awesome. So I built up a Facebook business page. I actually recently just renamed it to Sky Marcano Clothing Designer, but it was called Mandela Sky Clothing. And I built up that community, and it was such an incredible experience. And I slowly kind of started collaborating with other people and meeting other women and feeling extremely empowered to take control and, you know, basically forget any feeling of failure and forget all that and move on and be happy, you know, find things that could make me feel happy instead of distraught, confused, and scared and all that other stuff that we don't need to focus on, right? So it was kind of incredible. And a huge learning experience for me. And, you know, we can learn from these tough times, and we can move past them, move through them. And it's still, difficult for me to talk about. But if anyone out there listening is going through a hard time, both of those times in my life I talk about, because I got so much out of those experiences that I wouldn't trade them for anything. While I was in it, I did not know that I would refer to these experiences as one of the most incredible experiences of my life. While I was crying in bed, you know, not knowing how to move forward, I did not think I would refer to them as the best lessons of my life. So if you are going through a rough time, believe me, one day you'll look back and say, you know what, I'm really, really, really happy I went through that to learn what I learned. And sometimes I think that's the best way to take life, as something that you can feel like you've learned or taken something away from that experience. It can be really helpful, especially if you've had circumstances in your life that aren't perfect, or you know what I mean. So that is sort of the beginning story for me. I spent 6 years really, really figuring out how to market and sell online, as far as like a personal brand goes, because I put a personal twist on it. I didn't just have clothing. I actually brought my face into the brand and would do videos and did a lot of writing and things like that. So I went along for about 5 or 6 years doing that. And about 5 months ago, somebody told me about Periscope. And for the last couple of years, I had been really craving to produce more video and more online content when it comes to video. But I couldn't quite bring myself to do it, and I didn't feel comfortable, and I felt awkward every time I put the video camera on. And Periscope happened, and it's a live broadcasting app that you can download. I think you can go to periscope.tv or find it in the App Store. And I went on there and I fell madly in love with Periscope and the opportunity that I felt Periscope could bring to everyone on the planet, really. I also was determined to broadcast every day and feel comfortable. And, I didn't know why I was drawn to it. I just knew that it was going to change my life. And I was like, I'm going to broadcast every single day and build up another community. And what ended up happening is I met all these people that I never, ever would have met before, all over the United States and different parts of the world. And I was like, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy how many people we can meet so quickly just by using the app and broadcasting. And then I realized, well, I could turn this into a viable business and maybe create another stream of income. So I started promoting my webinars on Periscope. I started really connecting with my audience. So I would do free webinars. And then I started actually selling video classes all about motivational social media and how to start making sales online. And it was a real game changer. And it came at the perfect time in my life where I wanted a little bit of a change, because I had been designing and selling my clothes for 13 years. But there was that other part of me, that other voice inside of me that needed and wanted to get out into the world. And so if you are someone that is wanting to let that voice out, or you have something to share with the world, please do it or try somehow to get that out there. It is so important and such a life-changing experience. Yes, it is extremely scary. Yes, you may be experiencing fear. You may feel afraid. You may wonder what your friends and family will think if you do more of broadcasting or video or anything public like that. Maybe you just want to be a writer. Please submit your article to your favorite newspaper. Please do that. I think it's the best gift you can give yourself, and you will allow your authentic voice to escape and be out in the world. And I just basically urge you to do that in any form that you feel comfortable. Not everybody is going to be comfortable on video. Not everybody is going to be comfortable on Periscope. But maybe you're a writer, or maybe you have something, or you want to do workshops with people, or I'm not sure what it is. But I can tell you that the last 5 months of my life have been so life-changing for me. With Periscope, I was able to actually find my voice. And I felt validated. Like all of the things that I was sharing that I had learned through business and marketing on Facebook, I was able to share that with people. And that was the greatest gift of all. And being able to connect and lead by example and help other women feel comfortable using Periscope was huge for me. The other great thing is that if you want to be a public speaker, or you want to get used to being on camera, using something like Periscope is a great stepping stone for that, because it is an audience. But I ended up, after doing 3 or 4 months on Periscope, I ended up doing my 3rd live workshop. And I noticed a huge difference in my public speaking confidence. So it really truly is a game changer. And I know I always go off about Periscope, and I just hope that anyone interested in video, broadcasting, or public speaking, Periscope is a fantastic tool to get you there quickly. I spent 2-3 years dreaming about doing videos and being more confident on the camera. And it wasn't until Periscope that I was able to relax and feel okay on camera. So that's my little thing about Periscope. But that is the long story about how I found my authentic voice. And I truly believe my authentic voice is out in the world now. And it was a very long process. So be patient with yourself. It does take time, but it also takes practice and doing the work and putting the work hours into whatever you want to become good at. I was terrified to hit the broadcast button on Periscope when I started 5 months ago. Terrified, nervous, shaky, freaking out. So I can tell you, even if something really scares you, if you can get through that to the other side, you will thank yourself later. So there's my little motivational talk for you today. I hope you enjoyed that and my story. So my children are older now, and I have a lot more time to focus on my writing for Huffington Post and my networking and my marketing and my creative content ideas for social media. And life is good. I have to tell you, I have been through a lot. I've learned a lot in my life so far, and I can tell you life is good. Life is good, and we all go through ups and downs in life, and it's okay. It's okay because we learn from it. It's just an incredible thing if we can just take those good little nuggets out of our life and really, really enhance them in our mind. So yeah, there might be some crap or stuff you don't like about your life or things that have happened to you that you don't like. But if you can find something to focus on, even if it's just your inner core genius talent that you want to focus on, do more of that. Do more of that. Because we have this life, and if we can focus on those things, it can bring great happiness to you, plus the people around you and anyone you want to share that information with. You will light up another person and be helping the world. Really, the world. The world needs you. So the little exercise I wanted to do with you is the other day I did a quick, and I didn't write notes, I did a quick little 2-minute video all about the 5 things I learned in 2015. And I did it top of mind, so it was like spontaneous, and I knew that it was going to be the 5 biggest lessons I learned in 2015. So that's an exercise you can do. You could also write that down, the 5 biggest lessons you learned this year. But I was showing everyone on Periscope earlier that you could also get a couple of pieces of paper and write out all of the great things that you accomplished in 2015. And they don't have to be big things. They could even be small things like I have a better relationship with my husband or wife, or anything that you feel really, really proud of. Put them in little bubbles, little cute bubbles on a page, and put 2015, and really look at those things in the bubbles and celebrate the things that you have accomplished. And there is something to be said about putting things on paper. So we have all these crazy things going on in our heads, ideas, inspiration, conversations, grocery lists, chores, and all that awesome stuff. But when you're planning and you want to accomplish something, writing down what you have already accomplished can really plant the seed in your brain of, oh yeah, I did that. Wow, I did that. As an example, today I wrote down things like I did my first live webinars this year. I sold my first video classes and my trainings this year. So some huge changes happened for me this year, and it was really great to see them in the little bubbles, the little circles on the page. The other thing that I was suggesting as a great exercise is write down all the things you want to do for 2016 and underneath those bubbles, so write a bunch. I put lots of bubbles at the top for all the things I want to do, because I know that I'm going to have to weed out some of them, because I don't have time to do all the things I want to do in 1 year. So I wrote down like 10 things, but I'm probably going to cross off a few and really narrow it down to probably 3 core focused things that I would like to accomplish for 2016. So if you're looking at your three things that you really, really want to accomplish for 2016. Then after those 3 bubbles, you've written them down in the 3 bubbles, write down all of the tasks involved that you need to do to get that done or accomplished. So write down every detail that it would take, like what would it take for you to actually accomplish those things that you wrote in those 3 bubbles. And I thought that would be a really fun exercise to do, to celebrate 2015 and then to look forward to 2016. So I'm going to wrap up this podcast, and I'm going to let you know again where you can find me online. I quite often on this podcast, in future podcasts, I will be interviewing people, but I really wanted to share some stories with you today and just connect with you. So as mentioned before, you can find me on skymarcano.com. This podcast is all about finding your authentic voice, and I also talk a lot about motivational social media and making money while you sleep. And I talk to people who want to start making money online, and I love sharing the experience that I had when I decided 6 years ago that I was going to start making money via email, which is an extremely relaxing and wonderful experience, and I want everyone to enjoy life that way with all of this new technology. So again, yeah, you can find me on skymarcano.com. You can find me on Facebook by searching for Sky Marcano. I have a private community. It's free to join. It's called The Sky's the Limit. It's a fantastic community. I actually put video tips in there, inspirational business tips, pictures, and we all get to know each other and talk a lot about entrepreneurship, business, branding, and all that fun, awesome stuff. And that's in the Sky's the Limit group. And like I said, on skymarcano.com, you can click through to the group and find out more about me. Currently, I have a free 30-day guide to prep you for a mini launch, and I will eventually be letting you guys know about a 3K and 3-day launch I did. I consider it a mini launch because I was basically promoting to my network of people through Facebook and email marketing. And I will be sharing more information about that. So if you want to grab my free mini 30-day guide, it's going to be filled with short mini videos, actually, which you will probably enjoy. You can grab that at skymarcano.com. And of course, don't forget, you can find me on Periscope, and it's Sky, uppercase S, KY _ Marcano, MARCANO, and it's all lowercase for the Marcano part. But thank you so much for being here. If you have any comments or feedback for me, you can always email me at skymarcano@outlook.com, SKYMARCANO @outlook.com. I would love to hear from you if you have anything to say. And I look forward to my next podcast. Will most likely be an interview with someone that markets and sells products or services online. I'm not sure who it'll be, but it'll be something about that, because I want to inspire you to get out there and get creating with your marketing, because I do think it is about out-of-the-box marketing and doing things that are a little bit different. So I hope you all have a wonderful 2016. I wish you all the best. And yeah, I'm just so happy to have connected with you today. And thank you for listening. Thank you very much for listening.